Okay, so River Street, the town of Plattsburgh will tell XYZ homes down River Street that they have to have a hose running off the back of their house all winter long, or the water main's gonna freeze. Not counting what we're throwing at the bottom of the hill down by the River Street Park all winter long. So I had talked to, I won't give any names, but I've talked to a couple of people over there, a lot of them, more than a couple, and I asked if we could maybe come up with a summer average of what a home uses on those, on that street, on River Street, so that we could switch everybody else over to meter. Then they would only be using and paying for what they're actually using if once they're switched over to meter. Right now you're paying $65 a quart no matter how much you use. You may be using more water than that, but most are probably using less, at least here in the bill. So again, I can't indiscriminately say by law, I can't say, okay, you guys on the whole rest of the Morrisonville Water District are gonna go on meter, but I'm gonna charge the people on River Street by the quarter. I can't do that. I had to flip it one switch or the other. So that's when we started looking at what it was gonna cost to redo River Street, and once I talked to them, and I found out the conditions of the lines and how old they were, he's like, if you wanna go through all this, you might wanna look at the whole water district and upgrading it. And that's how we got to that point. But yeah, you would be. So if you use $18 of water, you know what I mean, a quarter, what we found that the high average was, like I said, at Macy Lane, was like $47. Some of them were a lot less. All depends if you got, you know, just you two at home, or if you got a family of 5. You know what I'm saying?
But there always will be a minimum.
Yeah.
There's always a minimum.
A minimum.
Minimum. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but, so just so you know, this number, is that still up yet?
The
So we
first,
made an
the first
assumption,
7,000.
we made an assumption of 80,000 gallons a year of water use, just, so obviously if you use less than that, you're gonna pay less.
Could you say that one more time? I didn't hear.
If you
River
have-
Street Heights.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
River Street Heights, she's at.
Oh yeah, right at the bottom? Yep.
Yeah, that's practically new compared to the other places.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't, that,
You're
I don't,
fine.
we probably wouldn't be doing that side street because it is pretty new. I don't think you had that one in there. River Street Heights is at the bottom of River Street. I think we did the main on
We did
River
the right
Street.
main on
We didn't
River
do
Street.
the offshoot.
Okay.
I think, I wouldn't want to have you nail me down on Ladue Street. I can't remember if that one was. But yours is fairly new. Yep, yours is fairly new. And we're not looking to replace what we don't have to replace it and have more
Correct.
cost than we absolutely have to. But we want to make sure that all the mains are taken care of all the way through. So I would say with this one, we're looking at probably 98% or better than the mains all being new. You know, whether they're the 8-inch or the 12-inch on the main. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, can you explain to them why that is for EDU and why with ad valorem? So like with somebody that's got 4 apartments, they're going to be paying the $575 4 times.
Correct, so,
Like 2 apartments,
right,
it
right.
goes
So one
by.
EDU is a single family house. If you have a 2-family house, it's 2 EDUs. If you have a 3-family house, it's 3. And on and on. Vacant parcels are half EDU. Even though they're not using your water, they are benefited from being in the district. And there's 25 vacant parcels, just in case anybody wants to know. And then we have a bunch of commercial parcels. Not too many altogether, really. I call them commercial, institutional, and apartments, actually, because there's an apartment house kind of thing rather than, there's a slight differentiation in the tax parcel code number, but there's 19 of those, one of which is a school. Right now they are scheduled at 30 EDUs. So there's a range there. 89% are 1 EDU or less, just to give you an idea. I mean, I'm going to show you. most people here, single-family properties or...
Going back to across the road, if you're on the riverside, if you're projecting the main to go on the riverside, we're on this side where the water is now. So you said you're gonna come up through, under the road. You're gonna connect to our existing water line.
Correct.
So there's a problem. Do we have to pay for the all the way going across, or do we from the existing where it is now?
No, you're going for the curb stop and house.
Yeah, the curb stop is over on the other side of the street
No,
now.
I'll answer the question.
Don't clarify, because
So,
That was
the water project will go from wherever the main is
Right?
to your right, your property line, street
So
line.
the shut off is on
Where
that
the,
side.
where the shut off would be.
South side of the street now, that's gonna
Right,
stay.
right.
You hook it into
if you don't, if you don't change your lateral from the street shut off to your home, there would be no cost incurred. If you got, like I said, a line that's, 50, 75 years old and it's not a copper line or whatever, that would be a good time to change it, but again, yes, that would be on you. But you're not required to. We'll take the existing lateral line from your house to the street stop and hook it, whether it's on the wrong side of the road or your side of the road.
I'm sorry,
I forgot.
no, that sounds like me.
Could have been too important.
I apologize.
up there?
Richmond Avenue is not in the water district, so it's not part of this project. It was not included for a number of reasons. By including it, it would have required a district extension, which would have delayed the ability to apply for funding considerably. So it was not
So
included.
Rickson Avenue is not?
It is not in the district.
Oh, boy.
Rickson Avenue, we're on a different topic now. I told a few of you in here, I got 3 water projects going on. I was dumb enough to get these guys involved with, okay? And drag them in on me. But Macy Lane, we're looking at redoing all of Macy Lane's mains, okay? Because if you don't have water, you don't have town. I'm telling you that right now. All infrastructure and all housing comes from either water and sewer or having good amenities, right? And that's what we're looking at doing, is upgrading all of those. So Rickson Ave is another project that we are working on. Matter of fact, they've already did preliminary engineering on that. It's like on a napkin right now, all right? So I don't have anything nailed down particularly. I got all the preliminary engineering, I should say I do, those guys did it. But like I said, it's in the works, okay? But what would happen is, once we get done Rickson Ave, and my feeling, speaking with those people up there, I said, if you are going to use the Morrisonville Water District water to extend to Rickson Ave, then I want you to be part of the Morrisonville Water District at the end of it. So we can't do it now because of all the grants and where we are. It would just screw everything up. So it has to be totally separate. But when it's all said and done, then we would consolidate Rickson Ave into the Morrisonville Water District. That's what would happen. But I can't do it now. I have to do it after the project's complete. And to move forward with that, I've told everybody up there that they would have to sign on a dotted line saying that they were willing to be part of the Morrisonville Water District. Then that brings up the other part that Ron was talking about. We would look at a district rebounder, which we did, 2 years ago? Just about, somewhere around there, a year and a half ago. And we would make sure that everybody that is in the district is actually in the damn boundaries of the district. Because what we're gonna end up doing is doing a resolution for out-of-district users right now at the same rate that everybody in district is paying, until we can consolidate them in. But I can't do that until this project is
Right,
done.
so just as an aside to that, back to the gentleman's
It's like playing
question.
chess, it's all moves. I mean, I'm with you, I'm ahead on that, I'm looking at it.
So
But
there's
I
about,
just can't, I gotta do it when it's time to do it, that's all.
I think that's total, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's probably 9, I'm guessing, I don't.
Yeah.
remember. So there's
For the
9
vacant
more
lots.
ratepayers coming into the district, and kind of back to your question, is how to get more in, there's
Yeah.
some, and that'll affect the rate some.
And
Again,
we should-
it's 10 out of 300, so it's not.
Not big, but you're gonna pick some up on the lower end of Flat Rock, or not a lot either.
Over time. Right.
Well, in theory, if you improve the infrastructure, it's gonna make it more attractive for, people.
Building, and people living there or buying homes.
Hopefully.
Can I
Right.
ask you, I'm not from here, my mother-in-law lives here.
Yeah,
It's probably a stupid question, is this a bond that is going to be voted on, or has it already been voted on?
no, we've already had, well, basically, I got everything I need to sign on the dotted line and start this project tomorrow, okay? We've had the public hearings, we didn't get a lot of response. So, we wanted to get it out to, that's why this time we sent everybody a letter that lives in the district, so that they could come here and ask these questions. But all the public hearings have been done. The public hearing on the bond has been done. Everything is all set, it's all in place. But before I started spending checks that you guys are I'm cashing in on your dollar, I want to make sure that we're good with the project before I move forward. It's just, I'm trying to be as clear and as transparent as I can.
Can I ask Donna a question?
Yep.
So, you know me up the street from you. Where I was paying $780, really less because we're gone 6 months. Now I'm gonna go to $27.87? Pay that on 3 units?
Yes, well, you're gonna be paying the $575 on 3 units.
Even though there's 1 meter?
Right.
Okay. Holy cow.
From what I understand.
No, that,
That's why
If you got a triplex, is that what you're saying, you got a triplex?
Say it again, sir?
You got a
Yeah, there's a
triplex?
house, a trailer, and our trailer.
it's three living.
But we're only
That's
here
3
6
units.
months. So that's 3 units, but there's 1 meter
There's 1 meter.
in the house.
But each one right now should be, each one right now, we're not using the meter. So each
No,
one
I
of
know.
those homes are
Yeah,
charged
$65
$65 a
Exactly,
quarter,
which you could-
which is $260 per house right now you're paying.
$780 a year, yeah.
The meter's.
But now it's gonna go to $27.80.
Another meter one.
When we get our water bills, even though it's a flat rate, I never read it, does it tell you how much water you use?
Town of Plattsburgh is really good about reading the meters because what they, put it this way, the duplex I got in town, okay? They gave me the nasty note, put it on my desk, she goes, hey, you used 7,000 gallons worth of water in the apartment house over the last 3 months. Extra, above what we usually use. So I went over there and found out that one of the toilets has been running. And then didn't tell me that. But that's the nice thing about having them still go out and read the meters right now, because then I fixed the thing, you know what I mean? If it was on a meter, I'd have paid for that. We don't know where that's happening throughout this whole district right now, because we're not using them. So we're wasting a lot of water. And it's not intentional. I didn't go over there to do that. I didn't even know it, you know what I mean? But I corrected it as soon as I found out about it. But those are the types of, monies that at the end of the year, when the town of Plattsburgh reads that master meter in that vault by the bridge, I don't care what your individual meters say, whatever that master meter reads, for whatever waters come across that bridge, we're still responsible to the town of Plattsburgh to pay for that. Which is just at the end, when we're paying the taxes, that's how we figure out what we have to, for the O&M and the extra water usage that we use. It gets divvied up between everybody, whether they used it or not, because that's the only way we can do it. Once we go to meters, it's a lot easier. It's a lot better. You're only gonna pay for what you use. And we'll know what we're losing in the ground. Right now, I can't tell you what we're losing in the ground. I think it's a lot.
Can I ask a question about something? And this has been, Kevin and I have been going over this, and I still don't understand this. Operation and maintenance, $144. Right now, ad valorem, I pay double that, almost double that. So is it because every unit is gonna pay the $575 plus the business are gonna pay more? Is that why the operation and maintenance is going down?
Right, so there's 300 customers,
Right.
I believe, right? But we have 350 EDUs, so right now it's kind of divvied up on the 300 basis, roughly. I mean, I know it's assessed value, but when you divide it by the equivalent dwelling units, right, the people who are using the greater amount of water wind up paying pretty much, not on their meter now, on the EDU method.
Right, so use the school.
So, well, that's why. So, yeah, mathematically, again, it's not, you're absolutely right, it's assessed value right now, so it's not apples to apples exactly, but it's on an EDU basis, so it's easy. You take your budget, divide it by the number of EDUs, and you come up with the number. And that number changes every year. You know, the operation maintenance cost, that's a contracted number with the town of Plattsburgh, and that changes annually. So does your water rate change annually?
The debt service should go down.
The debt service stays the same. Well, what do you mean?
Well, you usually pay most of the interest up front, and then as we get.
Well, you can work it that way. This is
They-
assuming 38 years at $575 for debt service. If it goes down, great, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's gonna work that way.
Right.
So, Jamie, I'm sorry, Jamie had her hand up there.
How long are we locked into with the town of Plattsburgh contract on this?
Pardon me?
How long are we locked into with the town?
Every year.
Every year right now.
But I mean, there's no long-term annual, it's just a yearly update?
So when they first did it, 6 years, Donna, I think they did it? I think it was 6 years, I looked at it. And I think it was 6 years from memory. After that original contract, what we do is we sign an annual contract with them for the water. That was one of the things that USDARD was flipping out about before they gave us that bond, or the grant. They wanted to say, okay, so what's gonna stop the town of Plattsburgh from saying, okay, we're not gonna give you water in 2 years? So it's written in our contract, the original contract, even though we renew it every year, that either one of us have to give a 2-year notice of we're not either gonna buy it or they're not gonna give it to us. In the interim, we've been doing it for 20, Donna, you've been over there at least 20-something years. So anyways, I mean buying water from town of
15 years at most.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, so 15 years. So we use that, and I had to put a letter together to USDARD, letting them know that and I actually had to take a letter and send it over to Cashman so that they could do a resolution on it and send it back to me so I could send it to them, saying that they're not looking to do away with water to the town of Scott Falls. Her and I have had many discussions about, I would like to see our own wells back up there. But I think it would be cheaper in the long run. It would be expensive to hook it back up again.
And then we had crappy water.
Huh?
We had a reservoir, we didn't have wells.
No, we had wells.
Remember, that was a crappy water.
Yeah.
We went downtown.
We didn't have crappy water. The only thing that we had was a high iron content, which don't ask me the name of the chemical that encapsulated it, so you didn't get a
Orthophosphate.
red ring around your toilet bowl or what have you.
Tupper Lake.
But no, our water was less hard and had less.
There's a lot of bacteria in the spring, though, if I remember right. I mean, it was
What's that?
A lot of bacteria in the spring. You know, in the water, I can remember years, I mean, this was probably years ago, they were upgraded
Yeah.
before that, but literally the water smelling like horse manure in the spring.
Yeah.
Spring of the year, it was,
What's the runoff?
couldn't drink it.
Maybe when it was a reservoir, but not once we had the wells.
I don't know.
When did they do?
The only problem we had with the wells, and we're getting way off topic here, but the only problem we had with the wells was that they were building silt. So as the silt falls into the bottom of the well, instead of having a 300-foot well casing, now you're down to 150 feet of well casing.
But it's a lot more expensive to drill a well than it is, yes. To purchase a well.
Well, let me tell you what, we've had 5 increases from the town of Plattsburgh since I've been in office in 2.5 years. So I'll argue that with you. It would cost us a lot to start over again because we've sold everything that was up there. The generator, the chlorination plant, the building's still there, the tower's still there, the wells are capped and still there. But the biggest issue they had with them is that they were filling with silt and then they'd have to suck the silt out to make sure we had enough water supply to fill
There's
it.
no negotiations for long-term with the town, they won't do it?
Well, we pretty much got to see
What's their increase per year? I mean, how much percentage?
It went up.
54 cents.
Yeah, but
Last
you
year?
gotta remember, whatever we pay, their residents pay as well.
Yeah.
So they
That's a good
don't
point.
charge the
Yeah.
Morrisonville residents any less or more than what they charge.
Well, there is, actually, just to my point on that, you're correct. Your rate is tied directly to the town of Plattsburgh ratepayer rate, but you guys pay 10% over that.
Oh,
Basically.
no.
Well, let me put it this way, at most it's 10% over
But,
that.
no, yeah, we pay,
I don't make.
they have to make money on it, you know what I'm saying? And one of the big increases that we've seen in that time frame was due to the fact that they were redoing their water towers up on Blueberry Hill. And they didn't have a cap reserve fund to do that. So what they wanted to do was make sure that the next time they have to do it in 10 years or whatever, and clean them and repaint the inside, that they had enough money in the account to take care of that. So they raised the rates accordingly, not only to us, but to them. And we also charge a percentage about the town of Scholar Falls does, so that you have money in the Morrisonville water account. Because if we're only taking in what we have to pay for the water, and we break a water main, we'd have to bond every time we need something fixed. So we take 10% for that also on top of the Morrisonville, that's tied in that special district. And like I get to spend it anywhere else, it's your money. But it's there in the Morrisonville Water District, that's where that 300-something thousand is right now. So that we have operating money to work on the system as needed.
So is the 929 going to be in our taxes, or is the quarterly payment going to go up? How is that?
That's what I was gonna say.
That you need to determine.
That's what I'm saying. I would think that the debt service would actually be in the taxes. I mean, your water usage that he talks about is gonna be, like Don said, we'll probably set that up like we do on Macy Lane and Woods Mills right now. Once you're on meters, they will read your meter, and whatever you use, you'll pay that throughout the year.
You'll pay that plus a minimum.
Right.
So the meter bills come out like once a month, is that it?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months, quarter.
Sweet. I like once a month.
It's too hard to do it once a month. You can't read the meter fast enough.
No. Yeah, how do you know?
So there won't be anything on the taxes anymore, it'll just be strictly usage?
I would.
No,
debt
you'll
service.
still have your debt service. This will be on your taxes no matter what. That'll show up as debt service on your tax. Just like if you look at, Kenny's gonna kill me as a commissioner down here, but if you look at what they bonded for the fire station when they rebuilt it, on your fire tax, you will see what the bond amount is on your taxes every year. Because that's how it works. That debt service gets spread equally.
Now, can I
So to
just
speak,
add
I
something?
mean,
though? Your operation and maintenance is going to be on your taxes as well.
Right.
And so there'll be 2 line items.
Right. Yeah, because as long as we don't have our own water department anymore, somebody has to maintain the system. So we contract, and I will say this, the town of Plattsburgh is really good. If we have a break, they're there and they're taking care of it. But you have to contract for that. I mean, between the 3 districts, we're paying, I think it's a little over, or pretty close to $200,000 a year to the town of Plattsburgh. Between Woods Mills, Macy Lane, and Morrisonville.
They pay for all the repairs, or that's just labor, or that's
No,
just
that's just a
contract?
contract. But I shouldn't say that, because in there they do chlorination tests every day. They do their quarterly tests, and then they do their annual report, which are all have to go down to the health department. The chlorination has to be done every, I think it's every day. I think we do chlorination every day.
It's every day, they read them every day of the year.
Yeah, for
All at the
chlorination.
same time. And they chlorinate every day. And so there's always somebody working, and there's always somebody that's monitoring it, because you have to report it to the health department. And all those reports have to be done.
Yep.
They do an annual quality report.
Yeah,
If they have a break, we don't know it until we get billed. So it's not like they have to call us. Town of Plattsburgh.
No, they're good. They're good. They're good with
They
that.
have terrible
But the rates are
water.
going up all the time.
Their water is
It's got a lot of chlorine in it.
And a lot of minerals.
Not at my house, I have no chlorine at my house.
And they always used to go around and flush the fire hydrants. They never flush them. I bet you, since the town of Plattsburgh has had our water, that they haven't flushed those hydrants across the street from me maybe about 3 times in all those years. Donald Rapids used to be there at least twice a year. But
And
when
do it
the
every 3
dirt,
months.
the dirt comes into the toilet, makes a dark ring around it, and
That's something you have to bring to the
it's horrible.
officials.
It's just
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah, that's,
Well, we're
do they
paying for
coordinate
it,
with the
you
fire
know, and
department?
I would like
They
to
just do
not.
it?
No, actually, the town's responsible.
Yeah.
I mean,
They don't
don't
coordinate.
get me wrong, I tried,
I did it.
like I talked to them, like on Monday nights, we have gone around, checked the flows with a Petrie to see what we're getting out of it, how many pounds of pressure out of the hydrant, more or less for our purposes down here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the fire district is not responsible for the hydrants, the town is responsible for the hydrants. Therefore, the district's responsible for the
You can call
hydrants.
them.
The town, the fire department gets to use them whenever they need to, but no.
That's
No,
what
it's
I
not.
thought. When they first took over from the town and they were back feeding it up, like I say, on the last house in 22B, my water was horrible. It stunk so bad, I mean, I wouldn't even drink it. Now, they were trying to fill the tank up there, and they said that the tank, the water was probably getting stagnant up there because there was hardly any usage coming out of it because it was back feeding the other
Because it's a
way.
bladder now.
Right. Now, now, from what I understand, they were gonna take some water from the wells and pump it into the tank to build the pressure up.
It never happened, because there's a couple things, and that's maybe why they put the double flow, backflow preventers at the bridge at the time, they might have been thinking about that. One of the other things on the pressure is, we got double backflow preventers at the vault where it comes across, so that none of our water can cross-contaminate back into the town of Plattsburgh. Ron had talked about it, and he kind of questioned why do we need backflow preventers if your water is our water now?
Right.
If we were to fill that tank the rest of the way with the well, then you would have to definitely leave those backflow preventers, going back to, you know, if there was any bacteria or anything caused from our system, it would cross-contaminate into their system.
Right.
But right now, what you got is what's coming across from the town of Plattsburgh. And we don't enhance it at all. He goes, well, we can do whatever you want to do, Kevin, but you're gonna pay for it, because there's like 50 upgrades that we could do to this system. But to do it all at once, I'm trying to be realistic and not kill everybody, but at least get the water mains up to par where they should be. So, you know, those are all things that we could do. Like I was talking about, we talked about a pump right at the bottom of the intersection of 22B and Flat Rock Road to push that water and see if we could get it a little bit more. Plus, we could get pressures for those homes on the line on Flat Rock Road more than 20 pounds. You know what I mean? Depending on what.
As you said, Karen, there's a lot of give and take, and Jamie, I'll get to you in a second, but there's a lot of give and take. You know, if you start increasing pressures too much, then down here, we have a pressure problem.
So you'd have to put
So we
pressure
gotta-
reducer valves in there.
Right,
Yes.
that's what they were worried about, they were gonna blow lines out.
Right.
You know,
And
by
they
putting
were
too much
down
pressure.
below, except for us up on the hill when we got none.
Right.
'Cause I was the
Because
same
you
way.
inverted the water system. It was a gravity feed, and now you're trying to push it
Push it
uphill. You totally flipped the water system when you
How
look
was
at
it
the
down
town
here?
process.
Right now, it's fine. There's no problem, you know, with the water stinking,
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I said, I even brought in, I brought them over to you, over to town, and dishcloths. Stunk so bad, and I flopped them on the table, I said, "Now, would you wanna drink water from that smells like that?" It was horrible, horrible.
And what it boils down to is we gotta start somewhere. Because we don't have enough grant money to keep adding to the project right at this time. It would be a good start. It'd be a really good start. But it's going to need to be upgraded and upgraded. And looping the system and all of that other stuff, adding pumps. I would like to see, like I said, that's why I looked at a 5 to 7 year plan on upgrading the water tank up there. But if we added that into, like Lucas Manning at USDARD, he goes, Kevin, just add it in the project, you know what I mean? And, yeah, it's easy for you to say that, and I know it would increase the grant some to pay for the extra, but it also increases the end user what they gotta pay, because it's not, most of those are what, 60% funded roughly?
So, but Jamie has a question.
So you've got, what, about 10% turnout here, district-wide? In this room tonight, about 10% people-wise, right? I mean, less than 10%. Has there been any opposition at all? So, is this,
Other than Don.
how is the decision ultimately being made? Is this a done deal? This is, or, you know, how do you decide? Like you said, there's 10 people that are here that actually care, or 10% of the people, or less,
Right.
care about.
So,
How is it arrived at, yes, we're moving forward?
well, I would like to kind of have the consensus, and I'm sure the board would kind of like to have the consensus from whomever. I was hoping more would show up. I sent a letter to every user in that district. I can leave that horse to water, I can't make it
You
drink.
know, and I'm sure
So-
people got the same response as I did. Oh, you go, you tell us what's happening. I mean, that's the response that I got. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
like everybody on our
So
street,
what
oh,
I,
you go.
what I would like to know is, for the most part, if everybody likes what they see, or they don't like what they see, and
Nobody likes to pay more.
nobody's
But
ever
ultimately,
gonna
we
like
have
to
to.
pay
I
more.
mean, it's a system that's gonna blow apart.
There you
Look
go.
look what the city,
Maybe now
look what the
maybe
city's
now.
feeling.
And I'll tell you this.
So actually, to that point, I just mentioned something, I've mentioned this to you 1,000 times.
Don't that-
So I was in the old firehouse one night having a meeting with the residents of Morrisonville. Ray Newell was supervisor. And
There we go.
And basically it was the same project, minor differences.
Yeah, we got
And the total cost at that time was gonna be $475 a year, including everything. Too much money.
And that was,
Nobody wanted to pay more. $475 a year.
yeah, but it was a $4 million project back then.
My point is, it's never gonna get cheaper.
It's only gonna go up.
It's only gonna go up,
For a
and
12-month period.
it's,
This isn't like you're gonna get, you know, like you're gonna get a bill for $575.
No, you are, at the tax.
You are on your taxes, but I mean, you have 12 months to figure it out.
Right.
You know, you can work it into your budget. It's not like $575 a month or,
Isn't it a separate?
Oh, it's $77 a month.
yeah, it'll
Can I ask a question?
less than the cable bill.
Right now, 575. What I want to know is if the bond goes through, if everything goes through,
Bond is,
Well, what's the
no, if
question?
we get something, how is the cost lowered? Once you get that bond,
because we
Because you
won't
get more
need
grants.
the whole bond.
right, no, I understand it with the grant, but
So we're approved up to that 500, or 5,560,000, can you go back a couple times?
Yeah.
The bond is approved for the maximum amount of the difference of what we got in funding. So we got a bond for 550,000, no matter what. So we can go forward with the project just the way it sits. Their engineers, that's another thing, they just don't believe Ron, okay? When it went to CDBG and it went to USDARD, their engineers tore them apart. They had a list of questions for them that was 50 questions long, and then another list after that one when it went to the next stage. So they look at it. They make sure that what we're proposing from whatever engineer you're using is actually right.
Reasonable.
You know what I mean? And that you're not getting taken advantage of. So, you know, this is past all of those tests. The only thing I'm hoping is it gets better. Okay, can't get any worse. It can't get worse than this, because the whole project was paid for. But this is I'm hoping that it will get better. This is the work.
Donna, was that your question?
no,
I
my
didn't
question
think so.
is, okay, Macy Lane, when they did this, they had to start paying a year ahead of time on their bond, on their taxes. When do we have to start paying the $5,500,000 back?
As soon as we move forward, if I'm not mistaken, as soon as we start taking draws off of that money, then we're gonna have debt service on that money.
But
So
you-
this
but
year's
not-
taxes is gonna include that.
No.
No,
Because, no, you won't
because we're not
spend,
drawing off it till we start, go ahead. Bob, I'm
it's
sorry.
not until you spend it all. So you're not gonna spend all that this year, right? Maybe you can spend some. Most of it's gonna be next year.
So how long is it gonna take to complete the project?
Well, this would probably be not this coming year's, but probably the following year tax bill, I would say.
So
It'd probably-
when are you looking complete, like 2024?
Most of this money will be spent
In 23, yeah.
in
When's the
23,
project gonna be complete, she asked?
and probably early 24.
So that you won't see it till you're,
What's the timeline for, beginning?
We like the spring of 23, realistically.
How far is your design along? Just conceptual at this point?
Yeah, so we have to go through all that permitting, you know, we got DOT to deal with, health department, DEC.
Well, the engineering's there.
Don't forget the what?
Timeline for waivers, I mean, that's 3 months, 4 months?
I couldn't hear you.
Waivers.
Oh, that's only for contractors who don't want to follow the rules. Yeah.
You bring in the minorities.
Yeah, I hear you. I had that conversation with Ed Zielinski. But, so that's generally speaking. So Don, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Now, the 38-year term, you know, when you pay your house off a little bit faster, it might go up $20. Is it, if we did it like Macy Lane's 20, well, I think they got 24 years.
30.
No.
It was 30.
Okay.
They don't get out of that till
I think they got 22 more
2032.
years left.
Well.
But say like if we went
still,
lower for the bond, how, has anybody looked at what the increase would be by increments?
If you paid more than the annual debt service?
And it's like a house.
I understand.
38 years is a long time to commit.
It is, but what you also have to look at
The percentage rate.
You have to look at, when you're talking, that's a very low interest rate. So it probably doesn't make sense to pay off early, number one. Number two is time value of money on your side.
Are you an issue or not water?
Right, I mean, at year 20, $550 or $575 a year is.
So before I lose everybody,
It's 47,000 more.
it's, before I lose everybody, what's your thoughts before you take off on moving forward, or we don't do it?
everybody needs clean water. I mean, we live on Joyce Avenue, but the rest of the town needs good water too, so.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really like I said, I know there's,
Well, the pipes are wearing out anyways, they're old and decrepit and asbestos. They're gonna have to be replaced, right?
and it's only gonna go up exponentially.
So it's either
Like
Band-Aid
you
or do
said,
it.
you had this project 10 years ago.
When I talked to Lucas Manning, he goes, if you wait 2 years, it's gonna be 12 million.
Question?
I think somebody was wondering earlier, that $5.5 million loan, we're still looking into 2 or 3 different
Yeah.
Grants.
grants out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're fortunate enough to get those grants, let's say that $3 million, let's not take that one, let's take the straight one, the $250,000 grant, or $250 million grant.
2.5.
2.5.
Thank you.
That one.
I have a
It's been a long
problem.
day.
It's only a
All right,
$1.8
so-
million project, so. it's
Right
okay.
there, if we're able to get that grant, that will be applied against that 550,000, or 5.5 million dollars.
Yeah, so we wouldn't need the whole bond.
You cut it in
Right.
half.
You cut the bond in half.
So that debt service will actually be cut in half on their taxes.
That's correct.
Okay, I think that's the question you're wondering, okay.
Yeah, but I can't promise anything until
Right.
they go through.
If we're fortunate enough to get it.
Right.
The other thing is, everybody should be aware of, is a couple weeks ago in the Sun, the headline was what? City of Plattsburgh in state of emergency. Why? Because they have the same piping that we do, and it is totally failing throughout the city.
They have cement, asbestos, ductile cement.
We fix it and it just.
You said that, no, I'm talking.
So,
Kevin, is this put up to vote for district users?
No, because we did all the, public hearings already. We didn't get a lot of participation. As you can see, we got about 10% tonight. That's what we gotta work with. Before I started signing $20,000 checks to move forward with this, I wanted to make sure everybody had the opportunity to come here and speak. I'm gonna have to use a consensus of what I got here tonight, as well as the board members to move forward. I think,
Is the board in favor of it?
I think it's a
I don't want to
necessary.
speak for them, but they've been
Supportive?
very supportive all the way through. I wouldn't be able to get to where I am right now because I'm only one on the board. I don't want to speak for them, but they have been. Yes, thank you for that word. Very supportive. Yep. All right. Well, thanks. Is there any more questions? No. I don't want to hold everybody up all night long. I do want to thank everybody for coming. The questions were good. Hopefully you'll take the
You know, hand
information.
out for the paperwork, so everybody that didn't come here, we will tell them we should have came here.
Don't stop by and I will give them everything they need.
Ron, got anything else for us?
Ron?
Not a thing.
Thank you,
Oh, sure,
everybody.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Very well.